can always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN, this is season 7 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. And this is our Tim Hortons NHL season preview special. And you know that the regular season is upon us, right? You know it's upon us when you see Ray Ferraro on our YouTube channel. There he is, sitting comfortably in a hotel room on the road. And I mean, this one, they all matter. Game one always matters, kicks off the regular season. But this one is added value in Mike Sullivan, head coach of the New York Rangers, about to face his former club, the Penguins. Does it have some buzz around it?
It does, but not just that. So this is Sully's return to New York. Of course, he was here with John Tortorella before, coached in Pittsburgh for 10 years, leaves the Penguins, comes to the Rangers. The Penguins open up, as his first opponent. So there is that. Is this the last opening game of the season that Sidney Crosby will play for the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Yeah.
And I think that's every bit as interesting. Sully is, I think he's one of the game's best coaches. I don't think there's any question about that. It's kind of funny though, so he brings back, coaches like to have familiar people with them. So he's got David Quinn's going to coach with him, who used to coach the Rangers, then went to San Jose. Joe Sacco was on their staff as well. All of them played together at BU in the late 80s. And so all these years later, here they are, and they're coaching the Rangers. And the Rangers are one of those teams looking to rebound after they missed the playoffs last year.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the New York Rangers and so many other clubs here in this Tim Hortons NHL season preview special. And Ray, as you know, it's Thanksgiving at Tim's with their new Thanksgiving stack sandwich. It's available now for lunch. If you want it for dinner, it's available for a limited time across Canada. The Thanksgiving stack is prepared to order. It's served hot right out of the oven. Features thick slices of seasoned 100% Canadian carved turkey breast, home-style stuffing, cranberry sauce with 100% real cranberries, and all the toppings served on a toasted potato bun. But are the juices flowing for you aside from that delicious sandwich? I mean, you just looking ahead at the week that you've got, or are you still, is this one of those things, as I talked about on the podcast a week or two ago when we first got going, about how, I'm not in the routine yet. I'm feeling more like I'm in the routine, but you probably need a couple of travel days to get right back into the saddle.
I do. Now, this is my game sheet, right? So for those watching on YouTube, I take all my information and I literally print it out on the sheet because I remember it better when I print it out. I have one for each team. That's my 5th Ranger
why wouldn't
sheet
it
be? Because I screwed up the first 4. And so I forgot a guy here. One time I forgot Vincent Trocheck. I'm like, look, the guy's been in the league for 12 years, whatever. So you ask, am I into it yet? No, I got a little rust I got to knock off still. But I'm looking forward to getting going. What is crazy to me is this is my 23rd year broadcasting. And I've been around the NHL now for 41 years. And I am like, when I say it like that, I'm like, I can't quite believe that this is everything I dreamed about and what I get to do and still get to do it.
Well, and we want you to weigh in on the news of the day. And we're, doing this episode here Monday night. And of course, the news to start this week, pre-start of the regular season, is the Connor McDavid 2-year contract extension. We'll get to that in headlines, Ray, brought to you by the Canadian Brewhouse. Catch all the action at the Canadian Brewhouse with 30 beers on tap, 50 big screens at least, our signature Jumbotron. You're never going to miss a single moment. Enjoy the largest patios in Canada, all the sports you love, and a place that proudly is Canadian-owned. Born in Edmonton, in fact, and now has 48 locations nationwide. Find a location near you at thecanadianbrewhouse.com. All right. The captain of the Edmonton Oilers busts the headlines earlier today, signing that 2-year contract extension. And I don't think that anybody was overly surprised at the term. I mean, we'd been talking about, you know what? If he signs rather than wait, it's likely going to be 2 years, maybe 3 years. The shocker, though, was the money. The AAV on the 2-year deal at $12.5 million per. So, as Ryan Rashog noted in our regular season preview on TSN, there was no negotiation here, right? I mean, the agent for Connor McDavid, Judd Moldaver, literally called Stan Moman and Jeff Jackson and said, all right, here's the deal. It's 2 years and it's $12.5 million per. Are we good? Yeah, we're good. I mean, no negotiation. It literally took maybe 5 minutes to get to that part. So it's obvious Connor McDavid leaves millions of dollars on the table and extends a timeline on his expectation to win a cup in Edmonton. So how surprised were you when you saw the money?
Stunned. Couldn't believe it. Assumed, given the way some of you guys had been reporting, that the money would be less than he was, probably entitled to. I mean, like, he's the best player in the game. If Kaprizov's making what he's making, then McDavid's obviously going to be on top of that. To come in at 12.5, I kind of thought of Stan Bowman sitting there on the phone. Moldaver gives him the number and him like dropping his coffee or like dropping his pen trying to get the thing signed. Like it's just a remarkable number to hear given what he's worth. Now, as I mentioned a little earlier, I'm in Pittsburgh and Sidney Crosby makes $8.7 million a year.
Yeah.
And after they won the Stanley Cups, it's been a while since they've been competitive, right? So Sidney Crosby opens tomorrow with Ville Koivunen on his left wing. So I guess my point is, with the best of intentions, and I mean, you would never know what Connor's really thinking because he's keeps things in to his tight circle, of course. He's not a chatterbox in the media. But the goal, of course, is to take that money and to use it to help the Oilers become a better team, to become a little younger, a little faster. But it's not a patience move. This isn't money to go build up the system. This is money to make the team better, like yesterday.
Yeah.
And so, it's, if there wasn't, well, there was always an immediacy to the Oilers with McDavid. Mm-hmm. Now the immediacy, the urgency, it grows exponentially, really.
Yeah.
Like he's basically turned back conservatively $10 million over the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. Well, next 3 years, because he's already signed for this year. But conservatively, I would say $5 million per. And I respect the want to win and the belief in the guys that you have, and the proof of it all will be whatever the next few years bring. But Sidney Crosby is a really great example of somebody that's done the same.
Yeah. And look, I mean, there's many ways to look at this. And we're being very blunt and saying there was no negotiation. I'm sure that because Judd Moldaver and Jeff and Stan were in constant communication, over the last several days, maybe even months, I'm sure the Oilers made it clear we'd love to get him signed as long as we can. At one point, I think they would have preferred a 4-year deal, but when that phone rings, deal done, 2 years, 12.5. Yeah, it puts Stan Bowman and the Oilers on the clock, but they're over the moon. The fan base can breathe a little bit now because at the very least, you've got him for 2 years. Should be three. But that's maybe another scenario where if things do go off the rails in Edmonton in the next 2 years, he's always going to be a movable commodity because he's the best player in the game. But at $12.5 million with the cap elevating, if there was a trade scenario because things went off the rails, I'm not saying they will, but if they did, you could make that deal, right? You'd get a boatload coming back for that player, and it would be an acceptable cap hit at 12.5, and you roll the dice. You're the new team on whether or not you want to pay him $20 million per year on a
Dregs,
big extension.
We talked last week. Whatever the contract was going to be, if there was going to be one, it was going to be whatever he said, and the Oilers were going to push across a blank piece of paper and they were going to sign it. Like that's the status that Connor deserves.
Right.
I'm going to tie him again to Crosby. When you talk about winning and legacy, and there is nothing Sidney Crosby needs to do to cement a legacy in Pittsburgh.
No.
Like nothing. There's not a thing. I guess you could say McDavid has to win to have that same legacy, but there's nothing more to cement the legacy.
No.
Like there is nothing. Like it's a remarkable bit of selflessness.
Yeah.
To walk away from millions and millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that that McDavid was driven before, does this not signify to you what his drive is to win? With the guys he wants to win with. And so for the Oilers, it is and their fans, this is Christmas. This is a gift. And now you hope that as they try to solidify the team in the areas they feel they have to, and it'd be nice to get a little depth, a little more forward depth, I would say, would be the primary place. You'd look at goal as well to see if they can upgrade there, but now you got more money to do it with.
Mm-hmm.
It's a remarkable contract.
Yeah, and you have the Walman extension on top of that, and Mike Johnson made this point earlier. Can the Oilers afford to lock him down in the fashion that they did? And I mean, they would have had the negotiation prior to the call coming from McDavid's camp this morning, right? The Walman extension negotiation would have been well underway, but the two things can't necessarily be separated either, right? This now gives Edmonton a bit more breathing room, and they get a decent defenseman locked down long term.
Well, as the cap goes up, what is a second pair defenseman going to cost?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how would you like to have been a team that signed a player last year or after this year? Like their contract feels antiquated already.
Yeah.
Like, who's got to be, like there'll be some wonderment, but is Jack Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack Eichel's a free agent. If I'm Jack Eichel's agent, I totally ignore this contract from McDavid. I don't think you would go to Vegas and say, that's got nothing to do with the league. It's got nothing to do with setting a market price.
I think you have to if you're that player. Not just Jack, but any player for them. You have you have to. It's an outlier. He decided
to do this. Yeah, he decided to do this. Well, that shouldn't affect me.
No.
But the rumblings around the league would have been pretty significant today.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the Oilers, Ray, as we move on from there, they're going to be a very good team. Very good team again. They'll get Hyman back healthy. That'll be a huge lift. I mean, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know where you're at on this in the West. I have Vegas winning the division. I just feel like Vegas is ready to push it. But the West in general is strong when you look at potential contenders, and certainly Vegas, Edmonton are that. I look in the Central Division. Dallas looks as good as always. Winnipeg is going to start with injuries. You've got Colorado. They're all strong again. Would you agree? I mean, I don't know, like, how good is Colorado if you want there, and then take us through, maybe Dallas and why you see Vegas winning that division.
Well, Colorado's interesting to me because, you look at their team and some of their real key guys are not young. You
Yeah.
know, what is Gabe Landeskog going to look like for a full season? I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
Man, the way he
Yeah.
came back last year was an amazing story. But he's a significant piece of a team, and that would be a question mark. Brock Nelson turns 34 in October. Brent
Mhm.
Burns is 41, right? He's 41.
I
So
know.
you need all these pieces. Nichushkin's a older 31. So you've got great players that are older. I think Colorado's a really good team too. But I would say this, like when you talk about Dallas and Vegas and Edmonton, is that and Winnipeg, when teams decide to rebuild, we know from history it takes 7 to 10 years to be a good team again. And that's if everything goes right. Couple of years to sell off the assets, couple of years to draft a whole bunch of players, couple more years for those players to get to the NHL, and pretty soon you're at 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
When you finally get there, in most cases, that's the same window. It's going to be 7 to 10 years. That team is going to be good because you have really good players. You're a good team. But in that time, you're trading away all your young and future assets to stay relevant. So when we think that the teams don't turn over, the reason they don't is the entire thing is cyclical. I just look at Vegas. They're a good team. They're a big team. They're a successful organization. They'll do what they need to do to try
Mhm.
and stay relevant. Um, I have them winning the West for me, but the other part is when there's 6 good teams in one conference, you don't really got to worry about all 6
Yeah.
because teams are going to play each other and knock themselves out. You just have to
Mhm.
worry about your road. I could easily see Edmonton, Vegas, and Dallas and Colorado playing again.
Yeah. Why
Dallas
not?
and Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg again. Like
Yeah.
that seems to me to be where it's all going to bottleneck in the Western Conference.
Okay. And now we're talking about contending teams, and not to be disrespectful to some of the other teams in either conference, but we're focusing on the
Mhm.
West for now. I mean, there's always room for surprises, right? And Calgary might have been somewhat a surprise last year. Where do you see Calgary and Vancouver slotting in the playoff mix? The Canucks certainly should be. What about Calgary?
I think Vancouver, yes. Calgary, no.
Hmm.
And the reason I say no for Calgary, I thought they had an amazing year last year,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
had all kinds of things go right for them. Um, when I look at their lineup, and I'll have them Thursday in Vancouver, like is Farabee going to be a player for them? Is Frost going to be a player for them? They brought them in from Philly,
They
trying to
need to be.
upgrade their skill. Kadri had a great year. Is he going to do that
Yeah.
again? Huberdeau had a really good year. Is he going to do that again? Rasmus Anderson doesn't want to be there. Like,
Yeah.
at what point does that sort itself out? I see a dip in Calgary because I just don't think they're going to score enough.
Hmm.
Um, it's hard to maintain momentum year to year when you're a surprise team. And that's kind of what I think of Calgary in the sense of a step back before a step forward.
Mm. Is there a negative, like, not to dwell on the negative here, but is there an example of a surprise like Nashville last year? A team that we look at and go, geez, they have to be better than this. And they just fall back, not even to the pack. I mean, if they fall out of the playoff conversation. Is there a team that you identify that maybe has that in them at this stage?
Well, you bring up Nashville. Um, I think they constructed their team totally wrong.
Mm.
They were they had no centerman, and then they went and signed Stamkos and Marchessault last year.
Hmm.
So now you've got those 2 guys plus Forsberg. They're all right-handed shooting forwards. They still don't have a center. UC Saros, you know, wore out at some point last year.
Yeah.
Um, like Yossi got hurt. Like I don't see a rebound for Nashville. I do have Detroit as a playoff team. My
Interesting. Yeah.
my worry in Detroit is they have about 7 or 8 players that are really young. Now, a couple of them I think are already, they're already real players. Like Raymond and Casper, those guys are players.
Mm-hmm.
Cider, they're
Yeah.
really young, but those guys are real players. But they've got some young guys, and you're like, I think they're ready to take a step. I think John Gibson makes a big difference
He
in
does.
Detroit. And
No.
so I guess it would be a surprise team per se. I've got Tampa rated really high. I think they're very good. I think their top guys still have
Mm-hmm.
enough in them for a concerted push.
Yeah.
Now, if they can just get by Florida without bludgeoning each other into submission,
Yeah.
like that was wild the other night. But I don't know if Tampa would be considered a surprise. I've got them as a very good team in my guesses or picks, whatever you call them.
Okay, well, let's talk about the preseason shenanigans that wrapped up for Tampa Bay and Florida on Saturday. We know Scott Saber and JJ Moser both suspended for their actions in that all Florida cage match. That's kind of what it seemed like. It was just pure nasty. The Lightning fined as a team $100,000. John Cooper fined $25,000 for contributing to the night that it turned into. I mean, is that just Tampa Bay, Ray, trying to deliver a message to the big, bad Florida Panthers that, we're not buying it, and then we still have some swagger and talent, and you better get ready for the regular season?
I did a lot of that series last year, Tampa, Florida, and it felt like Florida just pushed them out of the series. Tampa's power play was phenomenal. I think 28%. And it seemed like Florida said, we don't really care how many power plays you get. We're not going to give up. We know how to kill against you. They took Kucherov's space away. They were nasty and physical. And I felt like Tampa wanted to punch them back. And if they're going to be able to get by Florida, they're going to have to play a more firm game. Mm-hmm. That's what I see from Tampa. And of course, Vasilevsky's got to be better than Bobrovsky, and he wasn't in their series last year.
That's going to be a squirrely division too, isn't it? In the East,
really
the
is.
Atlantic. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about the Maple Leafs here momentarily, but I'm with you. You mentioned a couple of minutes ago that you felt like Tampa Bay still had lots of juice. I think you're bang on, and I feel like Tampa Bay is slotted to win the division. I do, and that's being mindful of what Toronto may or may not do. That's being respectful of the two-time defending champion Florida Panthers. It's just Tampa Bay looks it, assuming they stay healthy. I think the Atlantic.
I will agree. That's my pick. I think of Florida a little bit like the old children's thing, the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
And I picture Florida like a tortoise this year, just like plowing along, collecting the points they need to collect, knowing that they're not the team they once were, certainly early without Barkov and Tkachuk, and just putting themselves in a position to make the playoffs, to be in a first-round series, and either trending with Barkov making a remarkable recovery or making a play at the deadline. Mm-hmm. Like that's kind of where I see Florida. Toronto, I'm telling you, Dregs, I just don't have a feel for what they're going to be. I look at their lineup and I'm like, Maselli's not a top line guy. He just isn't. He's a 50-point guy. If that's kind of what. Now I could be wrong, and playing with Matthews and Nyes might be amazing for him. But that's where I see there is. McMahon went down the stretch last year and got skunked. Can he play in a second line role? When's the year where Tavares is going to take a step back? Happens for everybody.
It does.
He had a great year last year. Mm-hmm. That third line, what can Joshua bring you? Mm-hmm. What is he? Is he a 15-goal guy? If he is, that's a really good year. Can he stay physically on his toes? That's a deal, right?
Yeah.
Their goaltending right now is Stolars and
Hildeby or Caden Primo, who they picked up on waivers, right?
Right. So it's a lot different. Every goalie will tell you it's a lot different being the acknowledged number one guy as opposed to being part of a tandem. So this is another step for Stolars, who had a really great year last year.
Yeah.
But I look at that division. I had Detroit and Ottawa in there. I've got Boston behind the pack. Boston's clearly in a transitional spot, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be an easy division for sure.
No, and if we just drill down a little bit more on the Maple Leafs, there's going to be so much scrutiny, expected scrutiny, and maybe welcomed if you're the captain, Austin Matthews, because we can turn the chapter on Mitch Marner, but you can't really turn it until Austin Matthews shows his game and what that looks like, and a big part of it is his health. If he can stay healthy, we've seen his all-world skill set. But the expectations from Craig Berube and the organization in general, Ray, is that on many nights, Austin's going to have to find a way to throw this team on his back. And maybe his game has to change or adjust or maybe even evolve a little bit, right? So his give and go buddy is gone. Yeah, there's still plenty of players who can execute a 2-on-1, an odd man rush, all of that. I understand that. But I know that they want him to hold the puck more. They want him to drive the net. They want him to shoot from different areas of the ice. How do you think that would be received and then ultimately executed by Austin Matthews?
I think more easily received than executed. Like you can't say to a player, I want you to be Alexander Barkov, because you're not, and you can't be.
Yeah.
And you play differently, and you see the game differently, and you're built differently, and you're on a different team. And so, I get, they want to, Berube wants more like that. I would say more of a Florida team. Yet Florida scores off the rush. They really do. They're a very good team off the rush. But the whole part of holding the puck is you defend down the other end. And that's part of the less give and go, more hold, cycle it back, control the pace, control the play. I'm really interested to see how Matthews would play if that's a really a real directive.
Yeah.
From how they want to play in Toronto. Does he go from somebody that might get 55 goals to somebody that gets 38, and you're happy with that? I don't see that. I don't see that. That's why it's another reason, Dregs, I just don't have a great feel for what the Leafs might be. I mean, I that first 20 games, I think, will be pretty fascinating for them.
Yeah, and it's not an indictment. You just need to see whether or not the pieces of this puzzle, that they have, the pieces that they have right now, are going to find a way to fit. And I think that's an honest way of approaching the start of the year.
Here's something I will tell you for sure is coaches and managers, they have their big whiteboard in their offices, and they write down lines, and they write down secondary lines, and then after 5 games it doesn't work, and all that work they did in the summer, they throw it in the garbage. And they go, you know what? We got to find a different way. Yeah. And now maybe that doesn't happen in Toronto, but maybe it does. And so you can be firm as Berube is and how he wants his team to play. But at the same time, people shouldn't think that he's not adjustable, that he's not flexible, that he's a smart guy. And if it doesn't work in the first 10, 12, 15 games, then maybe they look at, are our lines the right place? Is our system the right system? What if they get there and Maselli just cannot play in that spot? Well, then you got to make a change. You can't just leave him there and say, well, this is what we wrote on the board. So these teams have to make on the fly decisions that might seem pretty obvious, but when you make the decision and you make a change, you can't just go get another player.
No.
So it's interesting.
I think I read this in the Toronto Star. They did a breakdown basically on every player. I mean, all local newspapers do this across the NHL. But in referencing Maselli, they tagged the nickname, assuming he stays on that line, which is a large assumption. I mean, probably won't long term, but if he does and he has some chemistry with Matthews, his nickname will be Mitchelly.
He had 16 points last year.
Year before wasn't bad in Arizona. Pretty good.
Yeah, but
year,
I didn't make that up, right? Like so, like, yeah.
I thought it was
he's
lie.
Oh, it's good. It's good writing. It's good. It's creative, But the guy that had 100 points, he's in Vegas.
You talked a little bit right off the top of the episode of the New York Rangers, because that's where you're posted up, ready for the start of the regular season. So we've gone through the divisions. Give us your thoughts. You don't have to go through every team. I mean, we know Washington's probably going to be fine. Carolina Hurricanes, I think, are really good. We'll do our East and West and Stanley Cup predictions to end the Canadian Bruins headlines momentarily. But let's just quickly look at the Metropolitan and how you see that shaking down, or at least who you think wins the division at the end of the regular season.
Well, I do think the Rangers are certainly one of those teams that get into a spot where they're trying to compete, but at the same time they're trying to develop and get younger people in, and it's really the thinnest of wires to walk. When I look at the Metro, though, Carolina's the best team.
Agreed.
I think Jersey's a good team as well, but I think for the regular season, Carolina they're built to be relentless over 82 games. Now, I look at their team, though, Dregs, and you look at what you like and what might concern you. Their top six forwards: Ehlers is small, Aho's small, Jarvis is small, Blake is small, Stankoven is small. Like, small teams generally don't have a lot of success in the playoffs. I mean, that's a discussion for later on, but I think they're going to win the division. The Devils will, can they take another step? They made the playoffs last year, but they didn't have Jack Hughes for the last quarter of the season and the playoffs. Can that make it? Certainly will make a difference. The Islanders could surprise some people. I think
they might. Yeah.
Their goaltending's a bit of a question mark with Varlamov out. Like, how many games can Sorokin play? Like, they got David Riddick there, but can Sorokin play 55 games? He played 60 last year. And I don't know. I guess my view would be the Carolina and the Devils are the class of this division.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you on Carolina. I think Carolina ultimately prevails in the Metro. Okay, well, that leads us to our final item here in headlines. And neither one of us enjoys making predictions, but we have fun with it.
I hate them.
What does it matter? If you're wrong, you're wrong at the end of the year. We're always wrong about that kind of stuff. What does it matter?
Good point.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah. But I'm going to go first because I want to get mine out of the way.
Have you got a shocker?
No, I don't think so. And everything that you've said to this point bolsters the fact that I think I got my picks pretty close to bang on. So I went with Tampa Bay.
Or we're both wrong.
Yeah, well, that's fair too. So let's start in the East. I think Tampa Bay plays the Carolina Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Final.
I get the same thing. I'm telling you, I'm looking at my picks I sent into ESPN. All right. I've got Tampa versus Carolina.
Okay. What about in the West? What do you think there?
I've got Dallas and Vegas.
Me too.
That's ridiculous. That means we are wrong. There's no way we're
this
right.
is where we'll be different, I think. All right. I think Vegas beats Dallas, goes back to the Stanley Cup final. You?
Stanley Cup winner, Vegas Golden Knights.
That's what I said. Okay, so who wins the East? Tampa?
Tampa. Yep.
We have the exact same thing.
That's ridiculous. And people, we have not discussed this. It's appalling to me. This bothers me. Did you guys have to pick who's going to win the Hart Trophy?
No, we didn't have to do that. No.
Okay.
There was a quiz question about it, and I think it was something along the lines of, if an NHL defenseman is going to win the Hart, I think the last time was Chris Pronger.
Okay.
is it Quinn Hughes? Is it Cale Makar? And that was one of the quiz
Oh, the
questions.
quiz master didn't work very hard at that one.
No.
That's
Anyway.
a weak one.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's what I got. That's where we're at.
I mean, there was a few of my panelists at TSN that still they're riding the Edmonton Oilers wagon. I think Cheryl Pounder was one who says
I would
Edmonton's
say,
going to win. Yeah.
You know what though, Dregs? Don't you think like the difference between a lot of these teams really is an injury here, a hot goalie
For
there.
sure.
Like I was looking at teams, and you got to pick who's going to finish where, and I'm like, man, I don't like. It gets to a certain point, and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know who's going to be that much better.
Yeah.
Like San Jose and Chicago are going to be at the bottom of the league. That's what I got for you.
Yeah. And I think Mystic Mike Johnson, and I don't want to screw this up because it's one of those betting lines, right? Which we don't do on the show anymore. But I feel like he's got a line in one of the segments that we talked about on the preview show where the odds of Mitch Marner having more points than Austin Matthews. That's just it's clickbait, but I can appreciate doing it because people will spend money on it. So that's the kind of stuff that we get dragged into the mud on an annual basis.
Yeah. And did you guys have to pick, or was that just
No. He's a man on an island with that one. I wanted no part of it. So.
Perfect.
All right,
well
buddy.
done. Well chosen.
Yep, those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brew House. And just refresh us, okay? Again, we've talked. You're in New York. You've got the New York Rangers. Then you're back in Vancouver, correct, for a Thursday game?
Yes.
And so it's all very manageable, right? Is that what the rotation's going to be for Ray Ferraro? It's going to be, maybe one trip a week, sometimes 2 trips a week, but then back to Vancouver, back to home. Just unloads.
I'm looking at that, and I would say, yeah, that's exactly how it works for the first week, and then I've got 2 games away the next week, 2 games away the next week.
Nice.
And in the middle of that, dropping into Penn State for Parents Weekend. So,
that's fun.
Yeah, what's really really cool is like it's Parents Weekend, and we said to Riley, hey, Ry, we'll be in for Parents Weekend. He's like, oh, yeah, good. Hey, when's that? He's got no idea.
Do I have to come?
Yeah, you're going to be there. We're coming to see you. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll be good. So.
Excellent. All right. Well, you get set for that. I'm off to Winnipeg tomorrow.
Yes. Enjoy the opener and enjoy unpacking Mason's guitars.
Ooh. That's happening Friday. Yeah, be a bit bittersweet, but we're looking forward to it. We'll be back again, I think, Thursday for the next edition of Ray and Dregs. Does that work for you?
That'll work, and everybody enjoy the start of the year. Let's hope it's a fun one, and good luck to your teams, because as you know, I don't care who wins.
That makes 2 of us. And thank you to our sponsors who continue to support Ray and Dregs and make this podcast possible. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you. And thank you to the Canadian Brew House as well. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.